biohacking tip number 9. So we're still gonna pull from the book, the China study, okay? This book has also crucial information. It's pretty thin, but I'm probably gonna read it like 50 times. Because each time I read it, I get something new. And today is one of the principles that they say, principle number 4. So often these days we're so tied in, like scientists are so tied in, the medical community is so tied in to doing research, and the research is about genes. What gene causes this, MTHFR, what other gene, Leiden factor 5, what other gene is going to, they're trying to find, if you have this gene, then you're going to have this disease, right? And if we look at, besides a laboratory and assumption, theories, right? We all have genes. You probably heard we all have cancer cells in our body. How come not everybody gets cancer, right? If genes were truly the reason why you develop a disease, then all of us should be getting cancer by now, right? But that's not the fact. So in this book, the China study, principle number 4, genes do not determine disease on their own. Genes function only by being activated or expressed, and nutrition plays a critical role in determining which genes, good and bad, are expressed. Okay? And so, they also mention, much of this focus, like research, scientific research these days, medical practice is based off of scientific research. Much of this focus on genes, however, misses a simple but crucial point. Not all genes are fully expressed all the time. Okay? If they aren't activated or expressed, they remain biochemically dormant. Dormant genes do not have any effect on our health. This is obvious to most scientists and many lay people, but the significance of this idea is seldom understood. What happens to cause some genes to remain dormant and others to express themselves? The answer is environment, especially the diet, right? And so they use an example that makes perfect sense. Because if genes were truly the cause of disease, then let's think about this. Like this was the China study, right? The study was done in China. So if the genes, people in China have similar genes, right? And so if it's true that genes dictates disease, then every Chinese person would develop the same disease, right? And more important, it's just that these people have said to have similar genes, and yet they get different diseases depending on their environment. So dozens of studies have documented that as people migrate, they assume that the disease risk of the country to which they move. And the Chinese culture this is a very good example. Prior to McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut going into China, there wasn't, even in the enzyme factor with Dr. Xinhua, he noted there wasn't an obesity problem in China. Okay, not that like it is right now, especially in children. And so when they started changing the way, the McDonald's, the KFC, and the Pizza Hut started going in, and they, the Chinese people started eating those foods, then they started getting the same disease as Americans. But prior to McDonald's going to China, when Chinese people would immigrate to the U.S., they would start developing diseases here in the U.S. So how is that gene related? It's not. It's environment related. And that's the point of my post is environment dictates your disease, not your genes. So when we use, my dad had diabetes, so I'm going to have diabetes, right? Then, of course, then you're going to start eating like your dad and get diabetes. It's nothing to do with your gene. It's the fact that you're eating like your dad. You're eating like your family. You're eating like your mother. You're eating like your grandparents. So that's why you got the disease. It has nothing to do with your genes, right? So we don't want to, we want to be responsible for our own health. And one of the ways you can be responsible for your own health is to make sure what you put in here is good for your body and it helps restore your organ function, right? We all, I love to eat, and I will put junk, once a week into my body. And so we have to do things that can help our organs get rid of that junk, detoxify it, and so that it doesn't stay in our body and it activates those bad genes, right? Because if you do enough, if you drink enough motor oil, your body's going to break down, right? And so, so these are the things that we teach our patients at Achieve Integrative Health. You know, we're one of the best at helping people restore their organ function. So if you want help with restoring your organ function, we're the place to be at. All right, guys, so what are you going to decide today? Today is the deciding day. Are you going to succumb to the gene theory, or are you going to change your life? You're going to change your health, and because you know that you have control of it. So what choice are you going to make?